Gonna start with some bucket fills and what's good. What do we got?
I'll take it away from him.
Well,
I'm going.
Oh, you are.
You guys can fight about it though.
Well, I'm just saying the weather and Earth Day. All so good.
Love it. I did love all the Earth Day pictures, by the way. They were pretty remarkable. Great football.
Football nets are up in my neighborhood.
Ooh. Nice.
I'll shout out to Katie. She introduced me to Brian, whom I'm trying to introduce me to Sean for. So thank you.
That went well yesterday. Good. Pashke.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I introduced you to Brian. He needs some extra help.
Oh, cool. Either.
I said, he's probably gonna come in June at some point and just talk about, this particular agent lives in Mexico. That's who I actually was visiting when I went down there, and still has a business both in Mexico and here. And has a pretty unique personality and lifestyle. So that's awesome. I'm happy for you. What else? What else is good? Alex, if you're not gonna say it.
Well, one last night.
Ooh, you said it.
Oh, I know, but I thought you were still gonna say it. We can say it like double times, you know? You know, all right, what else?
Talk about your calls. You made them.
Well, yeah, Cammy, this is your fault, but I made 500 calls the past week, but I mean, I don't know, I'm going for 750.
Oh, I'm sorry, what did you say? How many calls?
500.
You made 500 calls, we have 500 calls. That's 100 calls a day.
That's great.
Did you die? Are you still okay? Like, you're good? Like, you got a smile on your face, you got a pep in your
It
step?
was a couple hours.
No problem. Like, I love that though. Like, I do love that piece, right? Because it's like, I'm just gonna go do this.
Yeah.
Like, this is just what you do. And 500 is a lot of calls, and I don't think a lot of people do that. So awesome. Kudos to you. What else is good?
Trying to get her to
A lot
count.
of it's back next week. We were talking this morning and someone was like, she's only been gone 2 weeks. He's like, it's almost a month. She's probably been gone a month already.
We've got to do something to her office.
Oh.
Yeah, we should do something to her office.
Fill
What
it-
else?
Fill it with balloons.
What else is good?
Oh, I was thinking something not as.
Let's, yeah. I figured you would.
Dress up in her office, it's gonna be like taped and like, you know, Home Alone style.
I didn't want to say what I really wanted.
Just got the fan and the feathers. Heather comes in. All right, one more. What else is good?
Also, I can fill various listing agents in the office that have allowed our team to do open houses on their listing. Our team is doing a production challenge and all of them have to do 5 opens a week, which is a lot. So,
Yeah.
very thankful for everyone letting our agents do open houses.
Super cool. Awesome.
I'm gonna bucket fill the Bethany Nelson group as well, because they have allowed some of the PC people to then shadow them on those open houses.
Love it. Love it, love it. Oh, we just got on a roll of good things. Anybody else? My good thing is that Reese committed last night to University of Washington.
Yeah.
She travels out to Seattle next year, so she's excited about that. I don't know if I am, but I know. It is what it is. That's what I said. I was like, I can do some fun stuff while I visit her. All right. April training, so we have our movies which by the way, if you don't even like the movie part, the popcorn is absolutely legit on Fridays, okay? Like, it's amazing. So we still have our movies on Fridays. We have our 6 personal perspectives, being learning based on the 29th, and then we end with our team meeting on the 30th. Do you want to speak to this, Rick?
Oh, yeah, that would be great. So, Leadership Academy is led by Jake Lures, and he's been doing it for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, do you think?
Not quite.
Probably.
Maybe not that.
Maybe
many
not
years,
that long,
yeah.
but 6 or 7 years. Raise your hand if you've ever been to one of those. Zerks, raise your hand. Okay.
Good time. Highly recommend.
Yeah, this is not, the important thing is it's not leadership for, like, if you're gonna lead a team or if you're gonna lead a group, this is literally your business every single day. And so it's been extraordinary. There's a couple of years in which it kind of slowed down, but he's back in full force and he's got a lot of time to put energy into it. And so it's been very impressive. I've learned a lot. The week after, we do a leadership mastermind. And that's myself and Julie Brandt from the Edina office. And that's also at Edina. Both of these are at Edina. Very, very nice facility, easy to get to. But that mastermind is where we've got kind of a round table. And that's where everybody talks about what you learned at Leadership Academy and some of the things that you would, bring forward in your business. And I'll just share one thing that I learned. There's actually a young lady who was like 24, 25 that showed up at the Leadership Mastermind. And there's something I've implemented since that time. She said that she heard from somebody that there was, it was a speaker of sorts that said, you know what? If the one thing to do to be successful in your business is to replace the word hard with important. And I thought to myself, interesting. So I started thinking about that more and more, and consistently ever since that time, I've been doing that. And that's really helped my mindset. When anything's hard, it's like, wow, yeah, like this inspection I'm dealing with now, it's hard, but how important is it? It's really important. And when you shift your mind, it really makes a big difference. So, so that was pretty awesome. So please join us. It would be great.
Awesome.
True.
Okay, I just want to thank everyone because we really rallied around Phil Jones. Right now, I think we have 20 people from our market center going. We do have 2 extra spots that are not currently filled for people to go. We had a call with him as well, and he's really excited to come here and be able to talk to everybody and just pour into you, right? It's really not about him. It's about what you guys want. And kind of shifting it towards your needs right now in the market, especially, which I think we've talked a lot about communication, not just with our clients, but even multiple offer situations and getting listings. So if you are still interested in this, we do have 2 spots available. If there are more than 2 more people interested, I would be happy to get more tickets for everybody. So let me know. And if you have an agent that's not in this market center, and you're like, I would love for them to go to it. They can absolutely be one of our guests. So please feel free to pass that name along or, quite honestly, put us on a text message together and say, hey, I think this would be a really great class for you. Who in here is all going? Awesome. Any questions around that at all? Perfect.
Those that aren't going, why not?
I was not going to be intense. John got it today. He's like, how intense? I was like, I'm gonna leave that to John. Okay, you guys, I don't think we did this last year. We did it the year before, and it was an awesome opportunity, not only for us as an office to get together, but the real thing is that you get into production and get listings, okay? However, it seems like the mindset of agents and most people is as soon as you put like a gift card or a you could win or there's a fun event, like the listings just kind of flow in. It's really strange. It's a weird concept. But we're having a boat cruise starting on May 1st. So the listing contract, you have to get 1 listing, just 1 listing signed, right? In order to get a ticket to go onto this boat cruise. It needs to be between May 1st and June 30th. It could be withheld, it could be active, it could be coming soon. It just has to be a signed listing agreement that is in command and submitted, right? Because if it's withheld, still needs to be submitted. If it's coming soon, still needs to be submitted. If it is active, it definitely needs to be submitted. What questions do we have around just that portion?
It is a new listing.
It is a new listing. Not a relist, it's a new listing. Dated May 1st to June 30th.
What are we working with on this boat? We got open bar, we got food. I mean, hey, what kind of lifting you want here?
You know what? As it goes along, okay? Is there?
You fishing? I mean, you gotta give us a little more
Well,
specifics
we
now.
can definitely fish. Did you say fish? No.
Surrounding yourself by successful realtors on a boat on Lake
Priceless.
Rock is not enough.
Priceless. There it is. A lot of people are gonna say, okay, guess what? I only work with buyers, right? If you're on a team. That's okay. You can get a ticket onto the boat when you refer a listing to your Rainmaker then, right? So you don't have to have the listing yourself, but referring the listing as a buyer's agent to your team lead gets you a ticket on there as long as why that listing is signed. Fair? What other questions do we have besides open bar, food, and why this is a priceless opportunity for Jason? Just kidding.
Do we know when the boat cruise is?
Yes, that's a great question. It is July 16th, correct?
Yep.
July 16th is when it is. So mark your calendars.
During the day, night?
What, do we know what time it is?
I believe it's at 1 p.m.
I think it's 1 to 4-ish, 1 to 3, 1 to 4.
Are we going to Big Island or are we going to Maynard? I'm just, yeah,
I just
Just-
love
it's
that
just
you're
a
talking about being on that boat.
I'm going.
I am already on the boat. I am
Right.
I'm
VIP
changing
on the
listing
boat.
appointments around.
Right? I think it actually leaves from Excelsior.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
where,
it's
like, down
downtown
there, yeah,
It's-
downtown Excelsior, leaves from there, will be midday on, July 16th. I wanna know who is going to be on this boat? Rachel, you plan on not going? Okay. She's like, no, I was listening. I think we had, how many people did we have last time?
A lot.
I mean,
It
I
was
think we
amazing.
almost busted the capacity of the boat, quite honestly, and it was really fun. The whole reason is, no one wants to be not on this boat, right? And number two, you work really hard to get the listing, like, the boat cruise is super fun. But what's even more important is that you have a new client and you have a listing, which is pushing your business forward. Which is really awesome to see. So there's usually a fun spike in listing, during that time. All right, anything else? Moving on then. It's just a CE class. Okay. And this one is this only, I think this was in person or is it, yes, this is in person, May 6th, 11 to 12:30, so another hour and a half of CE credits. So sign up there if you still need yours, which I think a lot of people still do. And then we have a webinar. So this one is actually online,
I
correct?
think this one is still in person.
It's still in person?
The two
Okay.
on May 6th are in person.
Okay, so 2 credits here, as well on May 6th. Oh, the other one is the webinar. So you actually have 3.5 credits on May 6th that you can get, back to back.
What time was the other one? 11:01.
11 to 12:30, so there's a half-hour break
Right
between that.
after. okay.
Yep,
Is that the one that's replacing the,
nope, different one.
because that one's in virtual,
The other one is
May
virtual.
22nd?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Lindsay is, by the way, a great presenter. She does a great job. It's a fun class. It will be educational. It will be, it won't be just sit and listen kind of thing.
No, it'll be really fun.
So
It'll
you said
be-
the first one's a webinar, that's here.
Nope, they're both here. I made it, that was my mistake. They're both here, so 11 to 3 essentially, with a half-hour break in between the two. And you can sign up for them individually as well. All right, Red Day. I think I wore my Red Day t-shirt on purpose today. So May 8th, 8:30 to 2:30, interfaith outreach. I don't know all of the details of this, of what we're actually doing yet, and I don't think we know all of what is happening. They might give us more detail by the end of the week, but we do know time period is 8:30 to 2:30. We would love to, see you there. We might split it up into shifts if that works better. Otherwise, if they need us for a lot of people that whole time, we'll try to just get one big group. Any questions around Red Day?
I'll just say Interfaith Outreach, one of the things that they do is they write grants for home ownership. So I don't know if anyone's had a lender do it or anything with them, but it really makes sense that we're investing in a organization that is also helping with with homes and affordability and different things. So it really makes sense that we're there. They're right in the community up on 101 and at an old Lunds. It used to be a Lunds, right?
Awesome.
And as soon as we know more, we'll get a sign up out.
All right, so this is the one on May 22nd, which is actually, this is the webinar. So this is a virtual class. When you're on virtual classes, though, I believe when you're doing CE, you have to have your camera on and you have to be on time because the whole thing is recorded. So if all of a sudden you leave the room for 45 minutes, you will not get credit. If you turn your camera off for a long period of time, you will not get credit. So it's awesome that you get to do it virtually. However, those are things I do want to prerequisite you on. That's May 22nd and it's from 1 to 3 o'clock. That again is a really great class, entertaining as well as very informational. Questions around that at all? Who is done with their CE?
Oh, come on.
Oh, of course you are.
I wonder if the CEs, I know one doesn't count, but there's still 2 that haven't been uploaded to Pulse Portal from the Blitz.
Email us because all of them have been all of them have been recorded. So I don't,
Okay, I
maybe
checked
you didn't have
yesterday.
this sign up, maybe we just didn't have you on it, which we could figure out, right? So just let me know which ones you don't have.
Maybe you already took it. 'Cause I
No,
think that happened with one of mine.
I left the one of them. I double checked before.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Awesome. Ooh, what is- hey, can we talk about this class?
Yes, I would love to talk about this class.
Like,
I don't know who's teaching it with me though. Great. So I'm not sure if it's Melanie or someone else from the team, but we are going to go through a net sheet. So how to get that put together and then some of the technology that Great North Title and Profile have together to make that a lot easier for everyone. So we have our registration form online, which I think Lydia has sent out or will send out, sure. And it does have a question on there about your experience with NetSheet. So that would be helpful to make sure that we know how basic to make the class or advanced. That's helpful.
With NetSheets, kind of like we talked about last time, if you have a seller, it is required to have a NetSheet. Not only a NetSheet, but you need a signed NetSheet. A lot of times this is really helpful in even your listing presentations when you're talking to a seller, what it looks like when you're pricing a home, right? Second, it's a great opportunity to talk about commissions because as we know, they're always negotiable. And there's also the opportunity for your sellers to potentially work with the other brokerage, commission wise or not. And this is a great time to talk about that is when you go through the net sheet, right? So if you don't have one that's already templated into your, I don't know, Google Sheet, wherever you have all of your information that you use on a regular basis, this gives you an opportunity to either just use theirs or create your own. Who has their own templated net sheet? Who gets that signed every time there is an offer in on their listing?
You mean before we close and get commission?
So that's a real, the reason I asked that question is because it was probably accurate that nobody raised their hand, right? And part of us being real estate agents, when you give an offer to someone, we're really great at explaining the offer, right? But part of that is we should be going through a net sheet with those sellers when that offer comes in, what they're actually getting. And especially with multiple offers, you should be comparing what that net is, right? You should be comparing if you have 3 different offers, what's the difference in net for your seller, right? Not just the terms of when it's closing and whatnot, but you should be able to get really right down into, hey, guess what? This is what it's going to leave you at the end of the closing table. I don't know if a lot of us do that, and that's something that we should be practicing. And maybe it's because we're not, completely knowledgeable of the net sheet, right? Which seems like an easy thing. I don't necessarily think it always is, because things shift and, mortgage deed tax and all these different things are calculated differently. Each transaction at each price point, right? So if we're not getting that sign at that point in time, I would really, 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 and I think Kevin would probably also agree with me, to start getting that signed right when you accept offers on a listing. Can we agree on that?
Is there any way to check and balance your net sheet? Cause like you said, stuff is changing. Is there any way that it's like a double check on state deed tax,
So like
closing costs?
my net sheet that I use, and I think I got it from Cotty Lowry like a long time ago. You literally plug in a few different numbers and it calculates everything for you. So you don't touch any of those boxes and formulas. You change that purchase price by whatever, and it'll calculate the commission differently, right? As long as you change the different, and I don't know if that's how that net sheet is. I'm assuming it is. So
Software, so it just automatically calculates.
And remember, what you wanna make sure on there is like, no one's expecting you to be an accountant, have everything just perfect and whatever. But you wanna have a consistent, this is where it's kind of coming through. And one of the things that's super important is, so if you have two net sheets, you're comparing the same, but you wanna make sure your commission is on there. You gotta make sure they understand, hey, this is the cost to me, here's the cost to, the other side, we're gonna compensate this thing. Here are, if have seller concessions on there, like buyer closing costs and everything, that affects the net sheet. Those are the huge things that we do know without doing a bunch of research, that, those are the pluggable. By the way, I'll just plug, it took me like 2 minutes to do my net sheet. I emailed right before I came in here to a client, using Great Norse. It's simple, and it puts it in a nice professional spot, and on the bottom it says, hey, this is an estimate,
yeah.
right? This is not your Alta, which John used to tell me that all the time. Kevin, an Alta is not a net sheet. You can't do an Alta for net sheet, right? But now that's my rule, and so.
What is the most returned file? There's no signed net sheet.
Probably, yeah.
So anyways, this is a great class, and it might sound like elementary, it's a net sheet. Well, it's not, because we see most of the files, and it's a great tool to learn, where you don't have to recreate it, right? They already have it for you. So sign up for that. Elena,
I brought this to the team meeting for the last 3 weeks.
you did ask me.
I had the honor of receiving the Joe Cashmore Award last month from Wendy, who is a light in our office. She is so generous with her time and her resources and her research, and we appreciate you. So thank you for that. I am passing it along to an agent who is newer in our office this year, or within the last year and a half. She's really dove in and she's dedicated to reaching her goals, and her actions demonstrate that. She's surrounded herself with people in the office, and she's cultivated relationships and ability to then negotiate with other people in her office. And she has a growth mindset because she's always willing to learn something new. She went to family reunion on her first year in real estate, and she deserves the Joe Cashmore Award. So this goes to Alex. That's for next time.
Oh, we need a speech. We need
Oh,
like
just
a.
kidding. You have to have-
Yeah, you gotta accept the
Speech.
award, you know.
I'm shocked. Thank you for the kind words, and that's awesome. I don't.
So we have our numbers meeting, right? So sometimes there's new faces, sometimes there's new names up there, sometimes there's records getting broken. So clapping and being excited for people is the #1 reason we do this, right? So we have some new faces in the room. Both of them are here, Madison and Micah, congratulating them to coming to KW Lake Minnetonka. They've been here, what, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
She's been there longer than me.
right?
A month.
A month, a
Yeah,
month.
well,
When you're new, right, it's harder to come up to someone and talk to them. So when you see the new faces, go introduce yourself, right? And just ask them about, why they're in real estate, or tell them a little bit about yourself. So welcome. We're excited that you're both here. All right, so first closing, we have Julie Johnson and Leah. Is she here? Is she on there?
Julie is. No.
Julie Johnson is.
There you go, Julie.
Yeah, good job. She's like, "Uh-huh." All right, and then we have our cappers with Julie Herman last month. As always, anything that's on here, we are human, we can make mistakes. So if any of the numbers are wrong, please let us know. If you are looking at your listing, it has to be active, not withheld, not coming soon. So if it says, hey, I only have one in there, it's probably because the other ones are not active listings. I know I say it every time, but I just want to remind everybody because that usually is a question. All right, so top individual listings taken. We have Jordan with 2, Jim with 1, Al with 1. I like this many listings getting taken. Closed volume, we have Colleen at 518, Dan at 480. Closed GCI, we have Colleen Schultz in the first. Top individual teams, listings taken, we have Brahma Real Estate Group with 4. Closed volume, Brahma Real Estate Group at 2.3. Closed GCI, Brahma Real Estate Group in the number 1 spot, followed by top teams, listings taken, Dave Marie Enterprise with 5 listings. Listings taken volume, Sorrento team with 4.6. Those are big numbers for, what was it last month? March? Sorrento team with closed volume, 4.2. Closed GCI, Sorrento team in the number 1 spot. Top groups, listings taken. You have the Homers Group with 11 new listings. Listings taken volume, Homers Group at 7.4 million. All right, so closed volume for March, we've got Desert Property Twins at 5.3. All Closed GCI, got Desert Property Twins in the number one. Commercial, listings taken, we have KW Commercial and Vision with one. Closed volume, KW Commercial and Vision at 1.3. All right, so when we look at those numbers, those are our individual numbers, group numbers, team, right? As a market center, we always kind of do this, our market center versus the MLS versus the area. And for the last quite a few months, we've been outpacing them in various different ways. I think last month there's only one negative actually on the MLS. So those numbers are coming up market-wise as well. So those are things to think about, not just us outpacing them, right? But like, where is the market actually going as well? So closed units, we were up 15.5%. MLS is down 0.08. The area is down about 0.8. Are we feeling that, like, in the market? Closed units wise, yes. Maybe. Kevin's got a little bit of a, Okay. Okay.
I was gonna say, it's not a huge number, right? So less than 0.1%. You know, so maybe it's in our.
I'm meaning, are we feeling that we're closing, you know what I mean, outpacing that, right?
No,
Because
we're
what's
doing
gonna
better
be,
than-
what's gonna be interesting though, is when we look at this and then we look at our year over year, those numbers are interesting, like monthly, right? This is more of, long-term, but like month over month, it's, when you see the next slide, it's gonna be an interesting conversation on why I ask that. Rick?
I think that part of that should be, how the conversations are going with other agents from other offices.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a little bit surprising to hear a lot of people are kind of, bummed out, saying that their business is not going great and things are not cooking. And they always ask, how are things going? And should always be very positive, right? But a lot of people are pretty negative right now.
Yeah.
In their offices, so.
You know what's great about that? You can always refer them to the team leader here at KW Lake. And he can talk about their business at any point in time. Closed volume, we are up 27.7. MLS is up 4.6. The area is up 1.3. Listings taken, we are up 16.6. The MLS is up 8. The area is up 6.6. That's actually shrinking a little bit, you guys. Like when you look month over month in regards to where our office is at versus where the market is. It was a lot larger span in previous months, just as something to note. Listings taken volume, 12.6, and MLS is up 2.86. Areas up 2.3. Listings sold, we're up 15.5. MLS is down a little under a 1/10 of a point, and then down 0.82. Listings sold volume, we're up 25.8. MLS is up 4.6. The area is up 1.3. Contracts written, we're up 17.6. MLS is just shy of 1%, and the area is 0.19. I think this is something to always think about, when that gap is shrinking, or if that's a lower number, it's kind of projecting what the next few months are going to be for us. So up is awesome. Contracts written volume, we're up 21.4. The MLS is up 6.4, and then the area is up 2.1. What do you guys take from these numbers?
Clarify, this is from February to March.
This is not. This is the last, so it's the last 12 months and compared to the previous 12 months. Yep. Yep. The next one is the month last March versus this March.
Can you repeat your question?
Outperforming.
Yep.
Area is coming up though. I mean, I feel like we have had a lot more negatives under the area in previous months and now there's just that.
Most of them were negative. I mean, in the previous months for the area or the MLS, like those are now becoming positive, which is a great thing, right? For the market, definitely.
Yeah, that's a consideration. I mean, I think it's good to see that we're doing better than the market in general and our competition. It's also would be very good to see that there's a collective improvement in the market altogether.
Correct. Yep.
Because, obviously we're working harder to get these numbers. Would be great to see the overall market consistently improve in the next couple of months.
Absolutely.
Then
Wow.
you don't have an excuse.
You what?
Then we don't have any excuse. Because the market's moving.
All true. All right, moving on. So now this one is our year as an office last year versus this year. So when we talk about closed units, it's really interesting, right? Because numbers are very different, right? It's different than what you feel sometimes, right? So that's why I ask always, is this how it feels? Is this how the market feels? Because a lot of times the answer is, oh no, everything's great. We ended up closing 65 units versus the year before we closed 92 units. We closed 29.9 million this year versus 46.4 million the year before.
Question, is this to March of this year or is this total?
This is March to March. So last March versus this March.
Sorry.
Listings taken, we had 58 versus 56. Listings taken volume, we had 35.6 versus 38.8. I do think that's an interesting number because a lot of times we love to talk about listing volume, right? We love talking about volume rather than units in this market center for some odd reason. And we took more units, but our volume was actually lower. And when you start seeing that, right, that's where all of a sudden you're going to start realizing that units matter. Right. And that's a small amount, but it's an interesting shift because that hasn't been like that before, where we've taken more units and volume's been lower in that situation. Listings sold, we did 27 last month versus 37 the month before. Listings sold volume, we have 13.1 versus 21.5. Contracts written, we had 67 versus 102. Contracts written volume, we have 31.1 versus 58.7. Closed GCI, we had 859 versus 1.1 million the previous March. And then profit share was 749 versus 5,956.
Jamie, I'm finally gonna support you on the units versus.
Can you stand up and say it again? This recording.
Supporting Jamie Augustine on the units versus volume, because if you break down the first category, most importantly, the closed units, 2024, that average sales price is 500,000. 2025, that average sale price is 460. And I cannot ever remember a meeting when we had something like that. So it's not bad. It just means
It's not
I
bad.
can't believe I'm gonna
It's
say
a
this.
risk
I
of a
need to sell some
mindset,
units.
right? Like, that's not a bad thing. For a long time, I mean, the multiple offers have taken price points to a whole new level, right? And it's been awesome for commission bases, right? Because you're like, yeah, but I'm getting, price point's great. I'm getting more per unit. What you believe is less work, not necessarily. But units, when you actually focus on units, that pushes your business forward in a very different way, no matter what. Right? Because if you say, okay, I need this many units and this is my average sales price, and all of a sudden and your average sales price is higher, win. That is a win for you, right? So it's taken almost 5 years for Rick to say that, by the way, and probably longer than that. But I mean, that's something to think about in this situation, right? Is how many units, how many families do you want to help? How many clients do you want to help this year? I think people get stuck on units, meaning it's a number that is arbitrary or has no meaning to it or purpose. That's not true, because there's a human being that is attached to every single unit. And a lot of times there's a family or a couple or someone, right? So you can put words in as I want to help 50 families versus 50 units. Because probably truly what you're doing. I want to help 50 friends rather than, sell 50 homes. What other things are you seeing on here? When we look at these numbers and, a few of you have come up to you and you're like, man, you're real intense and passionate. This is why, right? Because I see these numbers. They're not bad numbers in any way, shape, or form. You do it, like, we're still selling real estate. But when I know what we can do, right? And if we aren't on pace with that or outpacing that, I want to help and ask why. Does that make sense? Does that make sense where the passion comes from and the intensity and why I say, hey, just make the calls and get in front of the people that you need to get in front of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For listings taken, what people are paying for average days on market, like just looking at, our projections for closing for next month or the next month, like, will those probably, like become contracts written? Like, what are you guys seeing as far as when those might? If we have more listings taken, that's great, right? Like, but then what kind of weeks are we looking at for an end game? Or what are you guys seeing, I guess?
Days on market are higher than they were a year ago. A little bit more, but I don't know.
It depends on price point.
Okay.
What we're seeing, our higher end listings are sitting longer, but our mid-range or move-up buyers are moving.
And I think that's what's important to think about too, right? Is that in these markets, the whole market doesn't necessarily shift, right? From my experience, it usually comes top down at some point, right? Like the luxury market always gets hit first, I feel like, where it's like, they're just not moving anymore. They don't feel the need to shift and change, right? And then all of a sudden it kind of dwindles down. And if you're not in tune with those numbers, right, or just looking at it, it's one where you should be. And if you don't have anything else to do during the day, because you're like, I don't have clients and I don't want to make lead gen calls, go on the MLS and go see what's active. Go look at days on market. Go see what things are selling for. Go look at showing time. See how many showings are in price point, right? There are ways to become the local expert just from data that you're provided through the MLS. You don't have to even be the one selling them. But you can get so knowledgeable that when you talk to someone and you can say to them, hey, guess what? There's 24 showings on average per listing at the $500,000 to $650,000 range in this particular neighborhood. We're going to be going up against quite a few offers. So we need to be prepared and yada, yada, yada. Do you think they're going to be like, how many homes did you sell last year? Heck no. That is not what they're going to ask you. They're going to be like, man, okay, how do we prepare for that? Right? All of you experienced agents that are, closing a ton of deals and capping and whatnot. When is the last time someone asked for your materials and what, like in a buyer situation, especially, and we're like, hey, tell me about the last deal that you closed. How many people get asked that?
It reminds me about after your first job, if someone asks you when you graduated from college.
They don't. They actually don't even care where you graduated from, usually. That hits home right now as I'm thinking about college.
I just want to say, as someone who does track some of those numbers, for the first time this year in 2025, crossed the 5,000 active 3 times this month for the first time in 2025. And that's in the 7-county metro area, single family. So that was, I think last Friday was our 3rd time crossing that 5,000 threshold. I think we had 51 something, and now we're back under that again, but
Say that again, 5,000 what?
homes, single family homes available, active, no contingencies in the 7-county metro area. And that's everything from condo to mansion. And so tracking that number every day, Monday through Friday this year, we've only crossed it 3 times this month in so far in 2025. So that's 5,000 homes for the entire 7-county metro
Can you
area.
talk about that number for a second? Like, let's just focus on that number alone. Like, if there's no other number that you want to know, and you have buyers out there, right? And you're like, hey, we're talking 7-county metro. I don't know, what's the population of the 7-county metro? Doesn't even matter, it's a lot, right? And not only is it that population, but it's also the people relocating in to here, right? So you're like, hey, we have 5,000 active homes in the 7-county metro, active, 5,000 homes in all price points for you to choose from.
3.2 million.
How many buyers roughly do you think are out there? Do you think there's more than 5,000 buyers out there right now in the market? Do you think there's probably more than 10,000 buyers out there in the market? From everyone that talks about their pipeline, they said they have 20 buyers. So in this room collectively, we have 1 million buyers, right? But that number by itself says a lot about what you should be talking about right now with your sellers and with your buyers. Would you guys agree with that?
So Tim Cipral in the class taught us how to, that calculation for determining absorption rate, which I think he said was how many closed in the last 30 days, at least that's what my note said.
Yeah.
So I took that number in the 7-county metro and divided our current inventory, and it was 1.8. So we have less than 2 months of inventory, which he said that makes about 2-to-1 ratio, 2 buyers for every 1 property selling.
Good job.
What's that?
2 buyers for every 1.
Yep. That's, I have
Oh, that's what she said.
Do you think having that conversation with a listing, right? Where you're like, hey, this is just a generalized number, and that could be even more specific depending on where you're working, right? Depending on location, depending on price point, depending on, you know, uniqueness of the home and what people are looking for. On why, you know, if someone really does have the motivation to move, hey, let's talk about this, because this is what it's gonna look like for you. Right? Like, and those are non-emotional conversations. Those are conversations where you can say, hey, here's the data.
It's important to have it with your buyer too. So
Yeah.
that they go into the market understanding, we're not gonna lowball here, and to bring, you know, listings are getting 100 to 101% of asking. So don't think we're gonna go in and get a deal, and there's 2 buyers for every property right now. And you need to be prepared for the market you're competing in for that.
I would also say, right, because numbers can tell a story in my eyes, I would also say price reductions. Right? So you don't want to go in and necessarily offer 100% for a home that is not priced correctly, right? So you want to make sure that you're.
You know what's interesting about that? Would you say though that when the reduction happens, right? Because I think also there's a mentality that you want X as a seller because my house is the best on the market and this sold last year for this. And if you do, you know, whatever, there's a lot of buyers out there. I can ask whatever I want, right? So then you get all these showings, everyone gets interest. People reach out. We talked about this yesterday where it's like, hey, I'm interested, but they're freaked out about the price point. Then you get the price reduction and all of a sudden it goes right back up to where it was listed at before anyways with multiple offers, right? So I think either way, it's good to prep them on what's actually happening in the market, right? Because yeah, you're like, oh, it's listed a little high. Seller might be a little crazy, you know, maybe they'll come down. And then all of a sudden they come down and bam, you got 5 offers again. Anyone else seeing that? And then all of a sudden you're like, well, dang, I should have wrote an offer, you know, and maybe asked for less at that moment. Right? Versus the other, I mean, you got to talk them through all the scenarios because you don't know necessarily what you're dealing with on the other side for the buyers. Yeah.
Along with what you're saying, we've had a couple of buyers get seller paid closing costs. So they pay full price, but the seller's paying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really nice. But if you wait for that price reduction, you lose
That negotiation factor. Love that. What else? What else are these numbers saying?
I get a profit share check every once in a while. So the number on the profit share, you know, that's a bummer, right? And how it impacts, you know, we all heard your story. So how that impacts the deal and what you do, what a market center can do with profit, I think is also more fun. Like I can remember back some of the, I saw a photo the other day of Kami and I are at a Timberwolves game like 8 years ago or something. And I go, oh, those are some of those things that having, and we took the ALC and she was not even our market center, but we were both there. There's some energy and some fun kind of.
It was
things.
multiple market centers that
Yeah.
were there. The only reason I say that is because that day I thought it was a good idea to eat a habanero because someone told me.
Yeah. But I look at that and go, you know, even the gap, of, you know, 900,000, let's say 859,000, so 860,000. And you see the profit share there was 7, but that was at 1.16, it was 5,000. You'll get different profit pieces there. And I think through all the conversations that we've had of how we've, the market has gotten super competitive for agents, right? And we've walked through all that. We've seen all the new things, and now I looking at the come and goes of the different agencies that came from like 2018. All, you know, you think through where we are, we have like 10 different new ones that are, you know, you probably are still getting the calls through it, and then you watch the value of different things go on different companies. That's an interesting number, especially when you think of a big number, like we profit shared as a company over what? 2 billion. Yeah. That's huge. And the idea of our company was not necessarily started it, but developed this idea that, hey, we want to be an agent inclusive in agent partnership with our associates, right? We call it associates. And the whole idea is we're going to have some skin in the game together in this, and the idea is that profit share number is something that we all have access to. And if we did have access to it, like I have access to it, then I go, I mean, I participated in it. I see my profit share checks go up, and Dana Murray, maybe no one remembers.
It's also not even just here, right? So I want
It's
to,
throughout the
I want
company.
to, yeah.
Let me go one second. Dana Murray calls the market center sometimes and goes, hey, what's the deal with profit share? And she's been
Sometimes.
she's been retired. She's been retired from this company for at least 3 years, right? But she's still, that's still an impactful thing for her as she's retired. And that's the opportunity of profit share that I think is, you know, I just kind of look at it.
I think it's interesting when you say that. And, I mean, the whole reason I love this company is we talk about business, and we talk about a business that allows you to live the life that you want to live, right? So we can talk about numbers and people are like, oh, those are just crazy numbers. I don't need to make that. I don't want to make that. That's fine. I'm not going to judge what number you make, but we are going to have a business conversation, why we have the ALC, why we go through this piece of it, right? And profit share alone, right? Sometimes, when I was an agent, it was tough because I was like, oh, I don't want to like talk about it with anybody because I feel salesy, whatever. Recently, I met with an agent that we were not the right fit here at this market center for this particular agent, right? And she went to a different Keller Williams, for various reasons, and, isn't really selling as much anymore. And all of a sudden she calls me the other day and she's like, hey, I want you to connect with this friend of mine. And I said, oh, yeah. And she goes, well, I got him a team leader job out in California. I just went and looked at my profit share tree. He's number 2 in mine because he's under her. He's gotten 8 other people under him in California. And I said, when that market center shifts, that's going to be a whole different ballgame. You know what I mean? And then so it doesn't matter, right? It's a win-win no matter what. Like, again, she's not in my market center. He's not in my market center. The company's growing. And sometimes things just fit differently. So you can think outside the box with that too. Like when this number goes up for us, which it was last year, right? It was different this year. It's a really fun 21st of the month.
I remember, just that Mark King thing, he was like, Mark King used to be our president of KW, and he was like, I really want to grow my market share, my profit share. He goes, I really want it to be 5,000 a month. So what does that look like for the number of agents that I need to bring to Keller Williams? And then what kind of life do I need to ensure that they can make for themselves so that they're making the money that they want to make, which then makes me the money that I want to make, which is also a different way to kind of look at it. But he invested a lot in
And that's it. It's like, it's also then you can be invested with the people that you know, you don't have to sit there and tutor and mentor all the time if you don't want to, but you care, right? A lot of us say that we care about people. Let's care about people. You know what I mean? I was landing, Seattle. Tony gives me a hard time that I don't ever answer his phone calls. And usually I don't, because if I'm busy, I know it's gonna be a long phone call, so I wait for the text message that says answer, and I say it's 911. So I land on Friday, in Seattle, and, he shared a story with a new agent in the office that he talked to about why she's in this, right? And he made a call to me and said, it was super eye-opening for me, to hear why someone else matter if they're new or if they're not. And he said, how do we get into more conversations like that with our agents, right? And he also said, people said I was a really neat guy. And he said, I don't think I've had as many people reach out to me after that interview to say, man, we didn't know these things about you and you're more approachable. Right? And so that's the people piece that sometimes we lose in all of this, right? And part of that is why I want us all to be honest in these meetings, is because we can't help people and have those conversations if we're not honest, or we hide behind like, hey, things aren't great or things are amazing. Either way, the good and the bad, sometimes we hide behind both of them. We don't want to brag, but then we don't want to, seem like things aren't great. We don't all move forward as a group if we don't share those, right? And if you don't want to do it in a group setting, find a person. Doesn't have to be me. It could be anyone in this market center and be like, hey, I want to tell you, I just crushed this, or hey, I'm having trouble with this. So any other questions around these numbers?
So just say like, let's get that GCI above 1 million again.
Yeah. So last year, Candy was really excited because last year we didn't go below 1 million until like last December. It started in March, and then we had record break. It was like we broke a record, then we broke another record, and then we broke another record, and then we broke another record of GCI. So it was super cool last year. So let's get that, break some more records. You guys in? Like, do you guys want to make that money? Awesome. Love to. All right. Do we have spin the wheel? Oh, okay. So wants and needs. As we're doing wants and needs, if your name is on here, please make a line so that we can do spin the wheel. If you don't know what spin the wheel is, it's if you've taken a listing that is live that month, you get to come up here, you get to spin as many times as they're on there, and you get straight up cash. It might be $1, might be 20, might be 10, you might add it all up, might be 150, you don't know. Let's start that line. And then any wants and needs.
I've got that one right there, 16 acres, in Pine City. 134.9. You can get to downtown in less than an hour. So if anyone's looking for a cabin close to cities, that's level ground. They had it timbered, all the scrub is starting to grow back a little bit, but they saved the oak trees and everything like that. So easy road access, easy freeway access, 134.9.
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's natural gas at the road, electric at they split a farm off, so they're selling the wooded portion of the 80 acres and then the rest of the tillable land. So, and it's two or 3 minutes from Pine City. So you got town right there, restaurants, all that stuff.
Also, we have no idea what this number is, but I think it's the universe telling us that if the KW Lake Minnetonka staff is taking listings, so should you. We have no idea where this came from, but
Maybe from the opportunities class last.
either way,
Yeah.
either way, it's the universe saying your name should be up here.
Is that zone ag then?
Well, we have the survey done, so you can subdivide it. But right now it's ready to build. You can build up to 3 units, I believe, but
How close to the lake?
boat launch is probably half a mile away.
So it's on the west side of 35?
I think
Just
we got
north
some
of-
interest.
Is it in Grafton?
No, Pecogama Township.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I might have a buyer. Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Anybody else gonna come up here and do the spin and wants and needs?
I have two. I have a listing in New Hope that's a 2 bedroom, 3 bath. We're not getting a lot of showings because it's a 2 bed. But it has easily frameable space in the lower level. It's a triplex, or excuse me, a fourplex, or excuse me, a 4 level home. So if anybody has someone that's looking at 3 bedrooms and is getting frustrated, it's a great option. It's got a new roof, brand new windows, brand new carpet, brand new appliances. So it's a really beautiful home. And then I also have a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, it's in New Hope, right off of Highway 169, off of 49th Avenue,
What prices?
429. And then I have a 4 bed, 2 bath in Coon Rapids with a 2-car garage on a cul-de-sac, huge fenced in backyard. They want to close quickly, so if anybody's looking, come talk to me.
5949 Cobble in New Hope. It's a 3 bedroom home. We'll go on at probably 295. It's not on yet. If you're looking to have a client that wants to submit before we go live, my clients are completely open to taking an offer before we compete against anyone else.
Where, Kev?
5949 Cobble.
Right next to yours.
New Hope, yeah.
And he said 428.
Yeah.
Grand Lens zone, same square footage. All right, what else?
8831 Reflection Road in Chanhassen. 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, big house. Listed for $850. It'll go on the market in about a week, maybe 2 weeks. And we would love to see an offer from one of you over
District.
Chanhassen.
They close to Minnetonka still for an open enrollment?
Well, I mean, you can drive anywhere.
Right, I'll grab the.
She's like, anything's an option.
Yeah.
Go up there and spin the wheel, Colleen. Your name's up there.
Yeah, Sherry's going.
Okay, Sherry, get up there.
Another one, it's a 2-story, 4 bedroom, 3 bath, big home in Waconia for 400. They haven't taken pictures or anything yet. They've already bought. It's just, they would like to move after June, but again, they're open to selling it to someone in the office and not hitting the market fee if you want to do that.
I have a Burnsville townhouse. It's a 332, for 345. And it'll be live on Friday. So if anybody wants to see it before we go coming soon tomorrow, that would be good. And then an off market in Edina for 2.5. That's a 653. Call me.
Flying in Toronto.
We have a townhouse.
Come on, Jordan.
Oh, there's a weight on it.
We're doing 5.
We have a condo in Chaska, 2 bed, 2 bath.
Going on the market next week.
Woo.
Right there.
Oh, nice.
Our Shorewood listing that was 1.8,
6,000 square feet, they've opted to go off the market and just they're listed with us with help and just to private market it. So if you guys, that was 5905 Siemens. So if you still have someone that's interested, that is still available off market.
Why don't they want to market it anymore?
waiting to see what.
No.
Like how it might change. I have like 12 listings. I'm not gonna list them all out, so I'm gonna put them in the email. Check those out. We have a couple larger ones that we're doing price reductions on shortly.
It's fine, just keep going. If you don't pay attention, maybe it'll like be a 20.
Yeah. So just check them out. We have a lot of open houses too.
Yep.
Like $8.
$9.
There are 20 spots.
One, 400.
And there's a just twice.
We have a.
That's a double edge, right? It's weighted.
Yeah.
Like John would do that.
Uh-huh.
There it is.
Yeah,
So this is double.
Plan on one.
Our counting there.
Yeah.
Your listings too, are you up there?
What is going
Hey, come on.
They go up, they go live. We got, okay, so next week.
That's the last.
These are the guys that closed 5 million last,
That's one.
like they need it.
That's the last time.
Rachel needs lunch.
Look at that.
All right, so you ended with.
That's a good spin.
And. Yeah. Okay, good, because that took a lot of brain cells. Right. All right, have a good day.
Has anyone in here been involved with KW Cares and had someone be recipient of that program, or maybe I should talk to you? I've got a client that I helped find a home last fall, and unfortunately he has cancer and anyway. But
Yeah,
Is there opportunities through that, right?
we can chat about that, right?
The only thing that, I mean, maybe we can do something, KW Cares is a benefit for the associates of KW. So, but do bring it to Game In because there might be some other things that we can do to help as a. Thanks, I wasn't sure what, thank you.